Hello, my name is Jim Taylor, and I'd like to talk to you today about Alzheimer's clinical trials. Many people are not aware that there is a crisis today in the search for a cure for Alzheimer's disease. While we have made progress recently in the level of government funding for Alzheimer's research, and there are many exciting drugs in the research pipeline, there is a crisis in the extremely low level of participants in clinical trials. Many researchers are excited about the 99 drugs now in the later stages of the clinical trial process, believing that several of these new drugs may hold the opportunity to change the outcome of the disease. But just to test these 99 drugs, we need to double or triple the number of participants currently in trials. Now, the reaction to this information I've just shared with you is very uniform: astonishment. Why are they keeping this crisis a secret? Why aren't people joining clinical trials? Well, I'd like to discuss these questions with you during the next 5 minutes, but you need to understand that I am not a professional researcher or a clinician or an Alzheimer's Association employee. But I am very passionate about finding a cure for Alzheimer's disease. You see, my wife Jerry is living with the disease, and I am her care partner. And every day we wait. We wait for more people to join clinical trials so that a cure may be found. There is a crisis in the extremely low level of participants in Alzheimer's clinical trials. And this problem is creating a critical bottleneck in the search for a cure. So, what are the advantages of being in a clinical trial? Why should someone join? Well, Jerry has been participating in a clinical trial for more than 3 years. And since the first time we visited the trial site, we knew that we had found an outstanding team who would be monitoring her health on a monthly basis. This team, their only expertise is Alzheimer's. Unlike our local neurologist and GP, the only thing that they specialize in is one disease, Alzheimer's. They are the experts. They know best how to answer Jerry's questions. They best understand what's going on in her life. They are best prepared to explain to us and to educate us about the changes that we are going to experience over the next few years. And they are available to us 24/7. We feel truly blessed that this team is in our lives. Also, 50% of those who experience Alzheimer's disease are born with an inherited gene that has significantly increased the likelihood that they will develop the disease. This gene is known as E4. And people who develop the disease who have the E4 gene usually develop Alzheimer's in their 60s and 70s, somewhat earlier than those who do not carry the gene. Jerry discovered that she has 2 copies of the gene, somewhat difficult news because it meant that she had definitely passed the gene to her son and possibly to her granddaughter, increasing the likelihood that they will develop the disease. For anyone carrying the E4 gene, participation in a clinical trial is more than just a search for a cure. It is about protecting the health of their descendants. Additionally, anyone participating in a clinical trial has a significant psychological advantage. Jerry and her colleagues feel like they are doing everything that they can to find a cure for the disease. They feel like they are in the lab helping the research team, doing everything possible. Sometimes when I take Jerry home after getting her infusion, I feel like I've got Madame Curie in the car. You know, this is a significantly difficult disease to deal with. It eats at one's soul. And I, for one, believe we should take advantage of every psychological and physical advantage we have. There's one thing that we know for sure, and that's that the first person who will be cured of this disease will be a clinical trial participant. So with these advantages and the need to have more participants, why is the participation rate so low? Well, communication. I believe the Alzheimer's community has not done a good job of sounding the alarm, of raising the flag. And once someone is looking for a trial, it's difficult to find. To this end, the Alzheimer's Association has an interactive web tool called Trial Match that will help you find a clinical trial. Trial Match will help you find the clinical trials available to you in your geographic area. And I strongly suggest that when you use this trial, you also take advantage of the telephone expertise available, because the phone experts will help you not only use the tool, but they will help you sort through the different trials available to you and select the ones that may be most appropriate for your use. Another inhibitor is the placebo. Some people are afraid they'll get the placebo in the trial. Well, my response to my friends is, if you're afraid of the placebo and don't join a trial, then you're definitely on the placebo for the rest of your life. Your odds of getting the placebo in a trial are never greater than 50%, and usually much less than that. But to address this issue, the pharmaceutical companies have designed a new category of trial called open label. And in this type of trial, everyone eventually receives the medication. Those who start in the placebo category after the test period are then given the medication for an extension period. So it's a win-win. Another inhibitor may be cost. You should know that there is no cost to you or your insurance company for participation in a clinical trial. Another inhibitor for some people is transportation. To meet this concern, an organization of over 65 trial sites in the United States formed an agreement with a national transportation company in the United States within the last year to provide free transportation to and from the trial site. And now we are asking for your help. We're asking that you share the information that you've heard today, and we're asking that if you or members of your family or friends have cognitive concerns, that you find a trial site, that you have an evaluation, and that you consider participation in an Alzheimer's clinical trial. Remember that the one thing we do know for sure, and that's that the first person who will be cured of Alzheimer's will be a clinical trial participant. So I'd like to thank you for listening, and I'd like to thank the Connecticut Alzheimer's Association for sponsoring this program, and remind you that the Alzheimer's Association does not endorse any pharmaceutical company or any specific clinical trial. They do endorse every individual's educating themselves about the clinical trial process and deciding for themselves whether or not to participate. Thank you again, and I'm Jim Taylor.